so we go to church for a year, and I know he likes me. And we get along really well, and we're friends and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I know it's coming. He's going to ask me out, and I'm going to have to tell him no. And so, and that's exactly what happened. So at the end of December of 2002, this is actually quite humorous, you guys. He emails me. We had Instant Messenger, which was like Facebook chat, but you had to actually log in and listen to the dial-up, and it was a whole big deal. You had to tell the person when you were going to be on. It was a big mess. Anyway, or we would email. And everything was just friendship. We did just that kind of thing. And he said, hey, would you like to go to the Hester Baptist Valentine's Day banquet with me? And I'm like, So I prayed. I was like, God, help me tell him why I can't. I would nothing more than to go to the Hester Valentine's Day banquet with him, but, you know, you've asked me to do something first. And I've got to fulfill what you've asked me to do. So I sent him an email and I said, there's nothing I would like more. There's nothing to do with you at all. But here's what God asked me to do. And I didn't tell him that God told me that he was preparing someone for me. I didn't tell him that God, said, I'm going to marry you, by the way. That would freak him out. And so I didn't say that. I just said, I have to do what God asked me to do. And I'm really committed to purity. And I believe it goes a lot more than just saving yourself physically. And I want to do this for the Lord. And I expected, okay, homeschool, or okay, weirdo, or whatever. I'm going to move my Bible cover back to the other person, or whatever. I knew I didn't expect. And so when I was in high school, I would print out all of our emails, because I knew that they were going to be special one day. And I was pretty smart knowing that I probably wouldn't use Topaz Child 2004 for the rest of my life, so I figured I'd get a new email eventually. So I was like, I'll just start printing these off and saving them in case, So this is an original, by the way, from 2003. And he answered me, and he said, I know about your commitment, actually. And I know, he said, I know about your commitment, and I would not want you to break that. What you have, what God has asked you to do is more important than what we might want to do. He said, everything is okay, don't worry. I'd like to talk to you in person sometime about it. P.S. I won't get tired of waiting. I know that you feel this way about me, and I feel the same for you. And deep down, of course I wish we could date, but I want you to follow what God has more, and I will be praying for you. And I remember thinking, well, that was nice. He'll think that for 5 minutes until someone comes along and he likes better. I don't know at what point I realized that God was literally just writing this word for word, but it was just too scary to accept it for me. So that was in the beginning of 2003, and we didn't date. And Andrew didn't date. Andrew went to high school. He was popular. He got really good skincare and lost the glasses and worked out and got a suntan. And he was popular. He was cute. Girls liked him, and he waited, and he kept waiting. And there is no doubt that it was very, very difficult. But what comes back to when I told you earlier about that foundation of knowing that every moment is to glorify God, even when it was so hard to not just be like, whatever, or to sneak around once we started driving, all of those things, even when we were tempted, we knew what God wanted us to do. And so it came back to that. Were there times where we did not listen to the entire service because we knew at the service we were going to get to hold hands? Yes. Were there times where, you give a Christian hug at camp where nobody's around and it lasts probably a little bit too long of a hug? Yes. I'm not saying we were perfect, but we were lived within this boundary and this desire for purity. And that was our heart's desire. And so when your heart is for something that God has asked you to do, specifically purity, there's going to be boundaries that you do not cross. And I think so many times that when young people are just taught, here's this line, this is the no-no, and they're not taught about obeying the Father leading up to it, whatever God asks you to do. Is he going to ask you to be completely single in high school? I don't know that. I don't know. I know people that have dated in high school that got married, and it was their story. So I'm not saying that these are rules. I'm saying this is what God asked me to do. And if we are following God with every step of the way, then no matter what he asks, even if it's weird, just like Noah building an ark, that's what we're called to do. So that's what we did. And we got made fun of, especially Andrew. There were adults in his life that should have just sang his praises. But instead, he was ridiculed. He said, that stinking homeschool girl, she's just too stuck up. You should just do whatever you want. That's what you're supposed to do in high school. You're supposed to have fun. And here was this young man who on his own had chosen to honor his sister in Christ instead. And I didn't have that type of ridicule. I didn't go to school. I didn't have those same type of influences in my life. I got teased. Everyone knew Andrew and Allie liked each other. It wasn't a secret. When God puts two people together, you're going to be able to see. But we really did seek him and seek him. And so from 2003, when we had that conversation, until the end of 2005, we waited. I graduated high school, and we went on our first date. And you'd think, 3 years, 4 years of waiting, man, what kind of date? He took me to the Spratt Family Jubilee at the Assembly of God Church and to Country Kitchen to eat. And it was the best date. And now if he did that, I'd be like, oh, no. You go find something else to do. But, I was just so happy to be able to know that we completed what God asked us to do. And we still sought him in purity as we dated for a year. And then we got engaged the next year. And then we got married in August of 2007. So it'll be 10 years in August. I told you, I want to tell you guys, I just think is the coolest icing on the cake. When I told you I was washing windows, and I said he glanced up right before, and I never told him that story, because the last thing I ever wanted was for him to think he only married me because I told him that God told him he had to and stuff. But right before we got engaged, you know how when you're in a serious relationship, you kind of start talking about marriage even before, maybe not everyone, but you kind of know you're going to marry the person. And I obviously knew, but I knew we were having this discussion. And we were talking about how, he had waited for me and how it hadn't even been his commitment, that it was something that he saw in my life and that it challenged him and that it helped him grow closer to God, and how we helped each other through this season. And he said, I said, how did you really do that? Because you didn't have the same support that I did. You didn't have the same, all of this. This was kind of something that was thrown at you when you were 15, 16 years old. And he said, obviously through prayer and studying, but he said, I could never get out of my head that kind of around the time of the Bible study, you were cleaning my grandma's house, and he said, and I looked up, and we were cleaning fish, and I looked up, and you were washing windows, and God said, that's who I have for you. And I said, what? Are you really? Are you sure I was washing windows? He said, yeah. He goes, and at the time I thought, okay, she's cute, I can date her, that's fine. And he said, I really just thought that's all it meant. He said, but then after I got to know you, and then after you told me what God had asked you to do, I knew that it meant forever. And so then when you told me you weren't going to date, I knew that meant that I wasn't going to either. And so guys, like I said, it's a very specific story. And a lot of you might be thinking, well, that is nothing like my story. And that is okay. It is okay, because all it comes down to is doing what God has asked you to do. And if it is right now, no matter where you're at in a relationship, there are black and whites. I read you guys that verse in Corinthians because there are things that God says no. There is no, well, this is how I interpret it. No, there are black and whites. But all of that gray area that sometimes we can get lost in of what do you want me to do, God? It comes from seeking him and obeying him. And I am so thankful that I was able to be raised to have that attitude of obedience. And I am so thankful that Andrew's walk with Christ, he came from a totally different he had a different plan for himself in high school. He didn't have this commitment, but that his walk with Christ helped him to obey. And it fit together so perfectly. And so when we got married, we were whole. There were no girls or guys following either of us. It was just what God had made. And it was wonderful. And it's so wonderful to think back on when stuff gets kind of rough, because you just know that God had his hand on the entire thing. And we are not perfect. And there are many moments I could go into in that season of time where we got angry, or we were bitter, or we were upset, or we just wanted to be in our flesh. But when you're truly desiring to walk hand in hand with Jesus, then that always will catch you. You can choose to ignore it, but it should always catch you. So that's about all I have today. So all I want to tell you, I'm not going to do an altar call. But if you need to talk to somebody about this, if you have a question, or if you just need someone to pray with you, just let me know, let Andrew know, let anybody in our leadership know. But I just challenge you today, young people, I challenge you today to examine what Christ wants you to do with this season in your life. Okay? Examine, boys, how you treat your sisters in Christ. They are your sisters in Christ. And God in the Bible uses the bride of Christ and the groom as an exact parallel for his church. That's how much he values this relationship. So, honor your sisters. And girls, honor your brothers. Pay attention to what you wear. I know we live in this society that says, well, it doesn't matter what I wear, that's on him. Yeah, he's responsible for himself, but we're responsible as well. So just seek him with, if he says he has a plan for you, trust that plan. Don't get in his way, because I'm so thankful that every time I tried to get in his way that he stopped me with his word. Go to the word, okay? I don't really know how to wrap it up, so I'm going to be done. And I'm just going to pray us out, and you guys can go enjoy your weekend.